Hello YouTube, this is Keith Kevin Ken. How you doing? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Time again to time again to go over all of my purchases in 2019. It's already January 2nd. Time is already flying in 2020. I will admit to you, I haven't bought a knife this year yet. But I'm still trying to go over all the knives that are on my desk. Believe it or not, we've gone through a lot of them. I don't know. This is episode 6 or 7, where we go through all the knives that I bought in 2019. It was an epic buying year for me. And so that's why we have so many knives, so many different distributors, of course, a bunch of Spydercos as well. But this time we're looking at more Chris Reeve knives that I bought in 2019. This is the last of them. And of course, with Chris Reeve knives in 2019, I tried to replace a lot of the Chris Reeve knives that I trimmed in 2018 and 2017 that I really missed, and also to pick up some new knives as well. So let's talk about that. Now I have 7 knives open in one hand, so give me a little time to safely get these out of my hand without cutting myself. I think this series has got me close to cutting myself more than any other videos that I've done. I miss my Umnumzaan. I did, so I had to go find one. And you know what? It was hard finding a Chris Reeve Umnumzaan. Now this to me is one of the standards of Chris Reeve knives. I tell the story that I got a bonus from work from my old job, and I had just been collecting Spydercos, and I had finally spent on a knife that was more than $100. That was my limit at first, and it was the Spyderco Techno. And then I got this bonus, and I said I'm going to spend it all on these knives that I've been drooling over, that I've been seeing on YouTube, that I've never had. And everyone was saying the Chris Reeve knives are so expensive. By the way, they still have that tag. They are expensive. You're talking about 350 to 700 depending on what you have. Um, what kind of, if you have Damascus and all that. But there are a lot of knives from people who just got in the business like yesterday that cost more than that. But anyway, and at the time when I looked at it, I was just starting buying knives, and I would only buy on Amazon. I'm a big Amazon buyer, big Prime buyer. And I didn't know anything about online places to buy. I didn't know Blade HQ and all that. So I looked up on Amazon, and I wanted to get the series of knives from Chris Reeve. I was going to spend my entire bonus on that. So I got the Sebenza 21, the Sebenza 25, all plain Janes, the small Sebenza 21, and then the Umnumzaan. Well, one of you have my very first Umnumzaan. And I missed it, so I wanted to get it back, and it was hard to find. Usually the plain Jane Chris Reeve knives are easy, but they're getting harder and harder to find. So this is the Umnumzaan. Nice big knife. S35VN steel blade, of course. Clip point. Hollow ground blade. It's a nice, hefty, big, sturdy knife. 5 ounces. 3.7 inches. Of course, I said S35VN. 8.4 inches total length. Just a really nice knife. So I got a new Umnumzaan. I just needed it back in my collection, a standard Umnumzaan. I went crazy. I went crazy when I trimmed my collection. I had so many Chris Reeve knives. I don't have a Sebenza 25. you know, um, I don't have some of the classics that I wanted. And then I keep waiting for the new knives from Chris Reeve. What is it? Sebenza 31s. And I'm just starting to see images online of those being released. I don't understand the Chris Reeve current situation. But at a SHOT Show or a Blade Show, I don't know which one. Chris Reeves folks are always there. Chris Reeves' wife and son, who run the business now, are there, and they always have an exclusive. And I saw that they had this exclusive. They had 10 Umnumzaans with the clip point blade in this flat, dark earth coating. This FDE coating. You see that brown coating on both the S35VN steel blade and the scales and everything else? I drooled because I wasn't at either of those places. They had 10 with drop point, 10 with Tonto blades. And of course, they went quick. And then I saw this available and I snapped it up. And I overpaid a bit, but I don't care. I finally got my plain Jane Umnumzaan. And the Umnumzaan, you don't see a lot of variations. You can get the Tanto blade. They don't even have an in single blade Umnumzaan that I know of. You can get the Star Tack one, which is basically a Sebenza version. But other than that, that's it. So it was great to see a new variation on an Umnumzaan, and it was great to get it. Of course, all the same specs as we talked about, but it's covered in all this flat, dark earth. I like that. I really do. So that was a new one for me, and this was a new one. Don't ask me why. I have a thing, I really do, and now my fingers are sweaty, so it's going to be hard for me to pull this. I have a thing for slip joints. I'm 60 years old. I turned 60 in July. I grew up, every pocket knife I ever saw, from Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever, was a slip joint knife. Okay? It didn't have all these fancy locks on it. Spyderco hadn't started their Sage series, okay? And so I really like slip joint knives. And you'll see a lot of them that I bought in 2019 as I continue to go through this series. But Chris Reeve having a slip joint blew my mind, okay? Now, again, I don't know the situation. I know that Chris Reeve isn't running his company right now, that his wife is with her son, with their son, but a slip joint. So I kept wanting to see it. Again, what they do that drives me insane, the new Chris Reeve, they drive me insane. They go to SHOT Show or Blade Show, and they show off things like this. They show off things like the Sebenza 31, and then they're never available. They're not in the distribution. I guess you could go directly to them and wait for a long time for them to make you one. This is the Chris Reeve Impinda. Impinda. I kept asking people, do you have an Impinda? Do you have an Impinda? And I couldn't find it. It's like the 31. Finally, they pop up everywhere, and I grabbed it. Now, I have to say, and this is a guy who buys way too many knives and spends a lot of his money on knives and that kind of thing. So it's going to sound strange for me. And you guys know I don't mind spending good money on knives. I do think this is a bit overpriced for a slip joint. It costs more as much or more than a Sebenza, large Sebenza in Kosi or Sebenza 21 or whatever. It's so well made though. It feels great in the hand. It is a slip joint knife. You can tell it's Chris Reeve quality. The spring is tight. Everything is so well done on it. S35 VN steel on the Impinda. 3.1 inches. It doesn't have, of course, the Chris Reeve frame lock because there is no lock. It's slip joint. Very stiff, which is good for, I think, for a slip joint. 3.1 inches. 7.1 inch total. Weighs 3.4 ounces. I don't like that it doesn't have a half stop. Most well done slip joints, when you get it, halfway down. Again, I haven't used this a lot, so it hasn't broken in either. But I like when my slip joints are stiff. Usually around here, it has a lock. You can push through it, but it stops. It's a safety thing. This doesn't have that. It goes all the way down. And then I think, and so, whatever. I don't like it, but everything else about it I like. I love the clip that just follows the body. I love the titanium look. It is a Chris Reeve knife for sure. This is probably what you and I would think Chris Reeve would do if he did a slip joint. And so I'm real happy to have it. It's one of those knives that got me super excited in 2019. Hey, I love small Chris Reeve knives. I do. I love everything about Chris Reeve knives, I have to admit. They're so well built. Lifetime. I love when a Chris Reeve package comes and it has the oil, the tool, a cloth with it. And some of them still have the leather case with it. And a birth card. That's how a knife's supposed to come. And this is a production knife. I have custom knives that came in a lot less packaging than that. This is a Chris Reeve small Sebenza 21 with carbon fiber inlays. If I ever say carbon fiber inlays with Chris Reeve, it's a Blade HQ exclusive. Blade HQ exclusive. This small Sebenza 21 is with the Tanto blade. S35 VN steel, of course, from Crucible. 2.9 inch blade. It's a little bit bigger than a small Nkosi. 6.9 inch total, weighing 2.9 ounces. Blade HQ exclusive with that wonderful carbon fiber inlay. I really like that. I love the blue accents on this exclusive. Of course, the inlays are on top of polished titanium, 2 on the show side, 1 on the lock side. And as I always mention, they leave the lock bar and the clip, the pocket clip, just raw titanium, which I like. These are the toughest gentleman folders you could ever want. A lot of people have knives just under that 3-inch mark that is a problem depending on where you live. But a beautiful knife with carbon fiber inlays, polished titanium. I love my Tanto blades. Great steel, wonderful lock from Chris Reeve with a lifetime guarantee. Oh, I'm really in love with this knife. Happy to see it on Blade HQ. Happy to catch it when it was there. Like I said, in 2019, Blade HQ released a lot of their Chris Reeve exclusives without a lot of fanfare. And Blade HQ is not afraid of fanfare at all. Yes, I stayed up. I remember staying up late into the morning. A grown man. I was so upset with myself, but I wanted a carbon fiber Blade HQ exclusive Mnandi. And so I got in on time to get a number 10, and I sold it to one of you guys. And even on the box, it's signed and dated by Chris Reeves' wife and her son. That's how special this was for Blade HQ. And they had a limited number. I want to say 10, probably more. I think it was 10. I want to say 10. And then, again, they snuck out some more. I was on Blade HQ. I had sold mine. That's the thing with trimming. That's why it's taking me so long to do another trimming. Obviously, I'm going to have to. I have so many knives, but I trimmed and I get into trimming. And then when it's all over, I'm sad that I let a lot of knives go. That I wish I still had. So I went and bought this. I was happy that I had a chance to get a Mnandi. I'm trying to come up. I'm going to keep my Mnandis. I'm trying to come up with a real nice collection of Mnandis. I think they're really nice. This is the kind of knife that when I go, I have a son, 2 daughters, a son, and then I have 5 grandsons. And so it would be great if when I go, they can have their grandfather's Mnandis. Talking about Mnandis, oh, by the way, did I do the stats for a Mnandi? I don't think I did. But anyway, talking about a Mnandi, I also got the strip planting inlay for the Mnandi. So I picked up a new Mnandi that I never owned. Actually, I did. I owned a plantain Mnandi that I sold, so I went and got a new one. So that was there. And I got a spalted beach Mnandi. So 3 Mnandis in 2019. Again, I told you I'm trying to get a nice collection of Mnandis and keep them along with some Spydercos and other knives that I'm going to keep as a permanent collection. So I'm not doing my Mnandis this time around unless I really need the money. So I'm trying to figure out what. Believe me, a lot of the knives that you see in this mini series of 2019 buys will be trimmed at some point, probably closer to February. But those are my buys, Chris Reeve buys. I also had other Chris Reeve knives that I talked about earlier in an earlier episode of this mini-series. There you have it. Knives I bought in 2019. We have more of those. You see all those knives on the table? We're going to continue this series until we're completed. I want to get these on video before we start trimming them and I start buying knives in 2020. So there you have it. More knives we'll be talking about on this channel. I'm doing it every single day. We're not skipping even for the weekends. So you should be looking out for more videos. Hey, a lot of people don't make it through the last of the videos because I go so long, and I understand it. So these are your true believers. It's January 2nd, 2020, and I got a call from a friend a text who said, call me if you have, as soon as you can, and told me that a mutual friend of ours, 58-year-old beautiful woman, a close working friend of over 20 years, died of cancer. And mother, wife, and a wonderful person, just felt tired, went to the hospital, said she had cancer, and in 2 weeks, we lost her. I say that to say, that's one reason I resigned my job. And that's one reason I don't get up early and hound like I used to and work all the time. And why I post on Instagram coffee and cigars and always talk about counting down to the weekend. Because you have so much, be the best, do all this. But time pass. And you need to spend time with your loved ones. Sometimes you can't because families are complicated, but at least call them, text them, say you love them. Um, I'm wishing the best for all of you in 2020. As you get older, you begin to lose people that mean a great deal to you. So you do regret it when you don't have time to talk to them. I wish all of you the best. Take good care of yourselves, okay? Um, this kind of news is what gets me so upset when we keep fighting each other about stupid politics amongst super rich people and all of that stuff. My heart goes out to all of you guys. Uh, take good care of yourselves. Sorry for the ramble at the end of this. Wishing you and yours the best. Goodbye.